Hello, welcome back. We are going to do my July, how crazy is that, July TBR. Before we get into that, we're going to talk about the books that I read or didn't read in June. So if you remember, my June TBR was just basically, I did either or for Rainbow Spine edition. So for pink, we had Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I didn't get to it. For red, we had Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo, and I did read that. Orange, An Inconvenient Wife by Karen E. Olsen. I did not read this. Green was Daughter of the Siren Queen by Trisha Levenseller. Yes. I did read that. We had Divergent for blue by Veronica Roth. I did read that. For purple, we had, what was this one? Oh, Wildlands by Stacey Marie Brown. I did read that. Black was Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. I did not read that. White was There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark. I did read that. And brown was The Princess Bride by, well, it's abridged by William Goldman, and I did read that. So I read 6 out of 9 of the books that I had planned to pick or I had put on my TBR. That is not all of the books I read. I read a ton of other books. I don't actually have a count, but I'll do a June wrap-up video so that we can kind of see what I read and what I thought of them. That all aside, July, we are going to also do something different. We're not going to really play a game. I have chosen to make a spinner wheel with every author name that I have on my shelf. Some of these are book authors that I haven't read their books. Some of them could potentially be rereads, but these are all the authors that I have in my possession. So I figured we'd spin the wheel a few times, pick a book by that author. Some of these books some of these authors, I only have like one book by them. So the potential for getting some of those books that are hiding. Oh, I forgot. I got to add one. I feel so silly. Okay. What was I saying? Oh, some of these authors I only have one book by, and some of these authors I have multiple books. So there could potentially be spins where I have zero choice and I just have to read a book that I'm potentially, well, I don't have to read it, I guess, if I don't want to. I don't really punish myself, but it will give me the chance to read it in the month of July. Hope that makes sense. Okay, let's get going. I think we'll do like maybe 8 spins. Does that sound good? Okay, not that you can tell me. Elizabeth Gonzalez James. Okay, I had to look at all of my, I looked at all of my books, and so now I have to go hunt this down because I can't remember who this is. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, that took me a second. Once I saw the cover of this book, I remembered exactly who this was. So this is going to be The Bullet Swallower. This was a book of the month pick. I know next to nothing about this except my dad tried it and didn't really like it. So I told him I would give it a try probably 4 months ago, and I have yet. So here we are. We're going to give this a try. I don't know anything about it. I'm debating whether or not I want to read the synopsis. Okay, let's do it. A Cosmic Debt, Generations in the Making. In 1895, Antonio Sonaro is the latest in a long line of ruthless men. He's good with his gun and his and is drawn to trouble, but he's also out of money and out of options. A drought has ravaged the town of Dorado, Mexico, where he lives with his wife and children. And so when he hears about a train laden with gold and other treasures, he decides to rob it with his younger brother, Hugo, in tow. Hugo. But when the heist goes awry and Hugo is killed by Texas Rangers, Antonio finds himself launched into a quest for revenge that endangers not only his life and his family, but his eternal soul. In 1964, Jamie Serrano is Mexico's most renowned actor and singer, but his comfortable life is disrupted when he discovers a book that purports to tell the entire history of his family, beginning with Cain and Abel. In its ancient pages, Jamie learns... I'm saying Jamie, but I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Jaime. I have a friend who his name is spelled this way and it's pronounced Jaime. Anyway, he learns about the multitude of horrific crimes committed by his ancestors, and when a mysterious figure shows up in Mexico City, Jaime realizes that he may be the one who has to pay for his ancestors' crimes. Sounds kind of interesting. It's like sounds a little bit supernatural. Anyway, we don't have a choice. This is what it is. Spin number 2. Okay, Mia Corland. My Corland. I remember. I'm pretty sure I know who this is. I don't know that I was ready to read this book yet. 5 Broken Blades. I don't know if I've heard good things about this or questionable things about this. That was a creaky spine. It's also a little broken. That's the way I got it. Okay. It's the season for treason. The king of Usen must die. The 5 most dangerous liars in the land have been mysteriously summoned to work together for a single objective: to kill the god King June. He has it coming. Under his merciless and moral hand, the nobles flourish, while the poor and innocent are imprisoned, ruined, or sold. And now each of the 5 blades will come for him. Each has tasted bitterness, from the hired hitman seeking atonement, a lovely assassin who seeks freedom, or even the prince banished for his cruel crimes. None can resist the sweet, icy lure of vengeance. They can agree on murder. They can agree on treachery. But for these 5 killers, each versed in deception, lies, and betrayal, it's not enough to forge an alliance. To survive, they'll have to find a way to trust each other, but only one can take the crown. Let the best liar win. Okay, there she goes. Both of those are Book of the Month books. I think my iPad's trying to tell me something. All right, here we go. Boom. Okay, apparently it is trying to tell me something, because I'm pretty sure the only Hannah Grace book I have is Wildfire. So, Wildfire is going back on the TBR. Well, okay. I have no problems with it going back on the TBR. I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. I thought I was going to, devour this book when I got it, and it's just not giving me the vibes I'm feeling right now. Oh, well. There it goes. Okay. We're going to do spin 4. So far... Okay. Tessa Bailey. I think you saw that. And I'm not laughing for any other reason that for so far, every spin, every author that we've gotten I've only had 1 book. And I have a lot of authors that I have multiple books. I have a lot of multiple books. I'll be right back. Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. Again, I don't really know anything about this book. It came in a, what was it? I can't remember the name of the box. I absolutely love the box. I need to resubscribe to the box. Authentic Books. That's what it is. This came in an Authentic Books box. So I will, these little end papers. So cute. I'll read a little bit of the synopsis because I don't honestly know anything about this. Wells Whitaker was once golf's hottest rising star, but lately all he has to show for his promising career is a killer hangover, a collection of broken clubs, and one remaining supporter. No matter how bad he plays, the beautiful sunny redhead is always on the sidelines. He curses, she cheers. He scowls, she smiles. But when Wells quits in a blaze of glory and his fangirl finally goes home, he knows he made the greatest mistake of his life. That's all I'll read. Sounds good. It's a romance. This is the little naked cover. I'm all over the place tonight. This is a romance. So we have romance, fantasy, and I think this might be a lit fic, historical fiction. I'm not really sure what to call that one. Okay, roll spin 5. Abigail Dean. No, I don't want to read this book. Okay, so I have a bunch of books on my shelves that I picked up secondhand, and this is one of them. Okay, this is Girl A by Abigail Dean. This is kind of a, I think it's a crime mystery. Anyway, Lex Gracie doesn't want to think about her family. She doesn't want to think about growing up in her parents' house of horrors, and she doesn't want to think about her identity as Girl A, the girl who escaped, the eldest sister who freed her older brother and younger siblings. It's been easy enough to avoid her parents. Her father never made it out of the mess he created, and her mother spent the rest of her life behind bars. But when her mother dies in prison and leaves Lex and her siblings the family home, she can't run from her past any longer. Together with her sister Evie, Lex intends to turn the House of Horrors into a force for good. First, she must come to terms with her siblings and with the childhood they shared. What begins as a propulsive tale of escape and survival becomes a gripping psychological family story about the shifting alliances and betrayals of sibling relationships, about the secrets our siblings keep from themselves and each other. Who have each of these siblings become? How do their memories defy or galvanize Lex's own? As Lex pins each sibling down to agree to her family's final act, she discovers how potent the spell of their shared family mythology is. Who among them remains in its thrall, and who has truly broken free? Okay. There's nothing wrong with this book. I just am not in the mood for this type of story. It sounds kind of true crime-y, and I love true crime. Do not get me wrong. I've been watching a whole lot of Mr. Ballin and Explore With Us videos on YouTube. So I'm well-versed in the true crime world. I love true crime. The problem is I don't know that I want to read true crime right now. It's okay. I don't have to read any of these books. It's just giving me an opportunity. This is putting them in the spotlight so that I will read them. I have a better chance. I have like a 50% or above chance of reading them. I'm trying to psych myself up to reading this book, and it's not working very well. If you've read this, let me know so that I can figure out how I feel about it. Okay. 5. So we'll roll. I keep saying roll. We'll spin 3 more times. If you can hear my kids, they're playing some sort of indoor soccer game in my living room because that's what summer does. Okay. Jamie Ford. Okay, seriously, this author wheel is trying to kill me with heavy books. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is actually doesn't sound all that fun to me right now. And to be clear, some of the books that I have on my shelf are not ones that I would have typically picked. They're books that I've gotten in subscription boxes, things like that. This in particular was Once Upon a Book Club. It doesn't come off. And that's The Many Daughters of A Fong Moy by Jamie Ford. I honestly don't remember what this one's about either. It is a beautiful book. It's very beautiful. Be beautiful on a shelf, and also it has little sprayed end papers and sprayed edges. Wow. I got it. Okay. Dorothy Moy breaks her own heart for a living. As Washington's former poet laureate, that's how she describes channeling her dissociative episodes and mental health struggles into her art. But when her 5-year-old daughter exhibits similar behavior and begins remembering things from the lives of her ancestors, Dorothy believes the past has truly come to haunt her. Fearing that her child is predestined to endure the same debilitating depression that has marked her own life, Dorothy seeks radical help. Through an experimental treatment designed to mitigate inherited trauma, Dorothy ultimately connects with her past generations of women in her family. Faye Moy, a nurse in China serving with the Flying Tigers. I think it's spelled Zoe, but I don't know that it's Zoe. It might be Zoe. Moy, a student in England at a famous school with no rules. Lai King Moy, a girl quarantined in San Francisco during a plague epidemic. Greta Moy, a tech executive with a unique dating app. And A Fong Moy, the first Chinese woman to set foot in America. As painful recollections affect her present life, Dorothy discovers that trauma isn't the only thing she's inherited. A stranger is searching for her in each time period, a stranger who's loved her through all her genetic memories. Dorothy endeavors to break the cycle of pain and abandonment to finally find peace for her daughter and gain the love that she has long awaited, knowing she may pay the ultimate price. You know what? I'm happy to give it a shot. I'm happy. It sounds heavy, but also beautiful. And we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Spin 7. Catherine Ormsby. It's so funny that I just don't know any of these authors. Ormsby. I think this is also a book that I'm not wildly excited to get into right now. Listen, I have Bryn Weaver on my shelves. I have Sarah J. Maas on my shelves. I have Pierce Brown, Brandon Sanderson, Tracy Wolff, Sophie Lark, Laura Thalassa. I have all of these authors on my shelf. And it is giving me the most obscure author. Oh, I know what book this is. I don't want to read it either. This is a YA mystery, possible. It's called The Sullivan Sisters by Catherine Ormsby. Let's see what it's about. Time changes things. That painful fact that of life couldn't be truer for the Sullivan sisters. Once they were close, sharing secrets inside homemade blanket castles. Now life in the Sullivan house means closed doors and secrets left untold. 14-year-old Murphy, an aspiring magician, is shocked by the death of Siegfried, her pet turtle. 17-year-old Claire is bound for better things than her Oregon hometown. Side note, I also live in Oregon. until she receives a crushing rejection from her dream college. An 18-year-old Eileen is nursing a growing addiction in the wake of life-altering news. Then, days before Christmas, a letter arrives informing the sisters of a dead uncle, an inheritance they know nothing about. The news forces them to band together in the face of sinister family mystery and possibly murder. The Sullivan Sisters is an unforgettable novel about the ghosts of the past and the power of connection and the bonds of sisterhood. There we go. I have an idea, and I'll say it at the end of this. But there we go. Last spin, possibly. Did you see that? Did you see that free pick just like scooch on by? I did. Jasmine Morga. I know exactly what book this is. This is a cute little middle grade called The Rover's Story. I know nothing about it, but this is a nice little break in all that. Meet Resilience, a Mars rover determined to live up to his name. Rez was built to explore Mars. He was not built to have human emotions. But as he learns new things from the NASA scientists who symbol him, he begins to develop human-like feelings. Maybe there's a problem with his programming. Human emotions or not, launch day comes and Rez blasts off to Mars, accompanied by a friendly drone helicopter named Fly. But Rez quickly discovers that Mars is a dangerous place filled with dust storms and giant cliffs. As he navigates Mars' difficult landscape, Rez is tested in ways that goes beyond space exploration. This is cute. Also, how cute is this little cover? So cute. Okay, here are the 8 authors that we spun for. We're going to implement a little twist to this because I want to. I am the creator of this impromptu game, and so I get to create an alternate path for myself. Here's the alternate path. I can choose any of these books to spin again. If I am like, I really just don't want to read Girl A, then I can spin again and get a different author. The only caveat is, if I choose the alternate book, I have to unhaul this book or whatever book that I'm choosing not to read. Some pretty high stakes. I like it. Let's do it. Because the chances are that if I am unmotivated in this moment to read this book, I'm probably not going to be motivated. And in an attempt to pare down, this is a good forcing action for me. I need some forcing action sometimes. Okay, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to start with the bullet swallower. I'm going to spin again. And if I choose the alternate book, I have to unhaul the bullet swallower. Okay. Let's do it. Scarlet St. Clair. Finally, we're getting into something I might want to read this month. Okay. Scarlet St. Clair. A Touch of Darkness. Let me read the back. Let me worship you, he said. His request felt simple and devious, and she reveled in it. She answered yes. Persephone is the goddess of spring in title only. Since she was a little girl, flowers have only shivered at her touch. After moving to New Athens, she hoped to lead an unassuming life disguised as a mortal journalist. All of that changes when she sits down in a forbidden nightclub to play a hand of cards with a hypnotic and mysterious stranger. Hades, god of the dead, has built a gambling empire in the mortal world, and his favorite bets are rumored to be impossible. But nothing has ever intrigued him as much as the goddess offering him a bargain he can't resist. After her encounter with Hades, Persephone finds herself in a contract with the god of the dead, and his terms are impossible. Persephone must create life in the underworld or lose her freedom forever. The bet does more than expose Persephone's failure as a goddess. However, as she struggles to sow the seeds of her freedom, love for the god of the dead grows. A love that is both captivating and forbidden. Oh, if I choose this book, I have to unhaul this book. I'm going to do it. I'm going to read this book. And I'm going to unhaul this one. Next on the chopping block, Girl A. Okay, here we go. Josie Silver. What do I have by her? It's a little out of season for this, but A Winter in New York. If I choose this book, I have to unhaul this book. Nah, I think I'll keep Girl A. I'm not in the mood to read that wintry book, especially since I'm literally sweating as I sit here. It's so hot in here. Last book on the chopping block, The Many Daughters of A Fong Moy. This does sound like an excellent book, but I'm just not in the mood for it this month. And so we're going to see if something else comes up. And if it doesn't, I'll keep it. If not, chances are I'm not going to be in the mood to read it, especially since it's not one that I picked myself. Who is that? Louisa Cigar? When I saw this book, I was like, oh, duh. Okay. Holes by Louisa Cigar. This was one of my favorite books when I was in middle school. I loved this book. Do I want to switch them? Do I want to unhaul this? Or will I read this eventually? It does sound good. Okay. I'm going to unhaul this. I just don't know that I'm going to read it, and I didn't pick it myself. And I don't want to force myself to read something I'm not terribly interested in. And literary fiction and historical fiction can be very difficult for me. And just doesn't really get me going as much. So we're going to keep holes. We're going to unhaul The Many Daughters of A Fong Moy. The last one on the chopping block is The Sullivan Sisters. Definitely almost dropped my iPad. Oh, okay. Finally an author I get to make some choices on. I had two choices for TJ Klune. One of them was In the Lives of Puppets, and the other was Wolf Song. I think, oh boy, why is this always so hard? I'm so indecisive. This is a romance. It is it's about two wolves. This is kind of a mystery. do it. I'm going to put this on the TBR and I'm going to go ahead and unhaul this. I just don't see myself ever really being motivated to pick this up. It's not my style of reading. So I kind of like this element to this game. I kind of like it. It's forcing me to make some tough decisions when it comes to the books I keep and whether or not I'm realistically going to read them. So, okay, look at that. We've got a nice, respectable stack of books. They're not ones that I would have picked off the shelf, actually. None of them are what I would have picked off the shelf for this month, but we're gonna give them a go. There's no consequences for not reading them if I choose not to, but yeah. So we have Wolfsong by TJ Klune, Holes by Louisa Carr, Girl A by Abigail Dean. This is A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair, A Rover's Story by Jasmine Warga, Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey, Wildfire by Hannah Grace, and Five Broken Blades by, I think it's Mai Corland. We'll see how it goes. And yeah. Hey, I hope you have the best month. And I hope your reading is fantastic. And I hope you find a brand new author that you love.